Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. A decent amount of buzz around our Michigan Wolverines regarding the transfer portal over the last couple of days. Want to dive into a couple of different conversations regarding this Michigan program. One, talk about some of the names that have left this Michigan program. Number two, talk about some of the names that are in the transfer portal that Michigan seems to be going after. And then number three, I want to offer you guys a few more players and position groups that I would like to see Michigan go after in the transfer portal. Fired up to get into this one. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. And as always, the Michigan fans. Y'all know I'm a massive Michigan fan. It has been an absolute blast talking this program over the last couple of months. Cannot thank you guys enough for rocking with the fellas. All the support you guys have shown. Appreciate that more than you guys know. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, would love to hear from you guys in the comment section as well about certain parts of our conversation. And without further ado, let's get into this one. I want to start with the names that have left this Michigan program. You scroll down over the last couple of days, and I think that speaks to the job that Sherrone Moore has done over the last couple of months, kind of maintaining the culture within this Michigan program. You look at a head coach leaving, pretty much the whole defensive coaching staff leaving, the strength and conditioning coach, Ben Herbert, a guy that a lot of people committed to Michigan because of that aspect about the program, haven't had that much attrition. When you look at teams like Alabama losing their head coach, they lost a ton of their guys that they felt really good about heading into 2024. Michigan really hasn't lost that many guys that were going to be impact players in 2024. You kind of scroll down the list, a couple of young linebackers that haven't really seen the field. Jeremiah Beasley, a guy that's only been on campus for a couple months. I think the one guy in the spring portion that kind of stung when he left was DJ Waller, a guy that we talked about extensively over the last couple of weeks, a guy that I thought played really well in that spring game. It hurts to see DJ Waller go. I think it also makes you feel pretty good about what Jair Hill has been doing during that spring practice window, because I think it was those two kind of battling it out for that cornerback one spot. And we might have got our answer in terms of who won out for that starting spot in Jair Hill. But I think at the end of the day, you look at so many different programs losing guys in their two deep, impact players in the transfer portal. Michigan sitting there and saying, I mean, yeah, it stings to lose some of these names, but it's not going to change this Michigan season, not really at all in terms of the names that we've lost. Now let's get to the more exciting conversation. That is, who is Michigan going after in the transfer portal? Let's go to a familiar face first. Ammar Walker, guy that transferred to Ole Miss during the winter window. If you guys have heard me talk about Ammar Walker, you know that I am a big fan of him. I thought it stung when he left for Ole Miss. I was really excited for Ole Miss fans. Didn't work out at Ole Miss. He hits the transfer portal. It sounds like Michigan is going to be a factor in this recruitment. In fact, it sounds like Ammar Walker very well could wind up in Ann Arbor heading into 2024. Let's talk about Ammar Walker for a second, a guy that came in as a wide receiver, was recruited by Josh Gaddis and Ron Bellamy. He makes the transition after his first year to play cornerback. That was kind of a rocky transition. They end up bringing Josh Wallace. Not a ton of opportunity for Ammar Walker. He decides to transfer. If Michigan brings him back, it sounds like he's going to be playing on the offensive side of the football. And although Ammar Walker is not a proven commodity at the wide receiver position, really not a proven commodity at all, I know all Michigan fans know the athletic profile that Ammar Walker brings to the table. He's got very good long speed, very good change of direction. He obviously has a very big frame and long arms at 6'3", 180 pounds. I will say that the Michigan fans, we've had the conversation over the last couple of weeks and said, hey, what kind of wide receiver would we like to see Michigan going at? And we said long speed, big frame, working on the boundary. Although Ammar Walker is not a proven commodity at that spot, you look at Ammar Walker and say that is the kind of wide receiver that we are looking to bring in for this Michigan program. You look at guys like Tyler Morris, like Samaj Morgan, a lot more of that quick twitch, shifty guys that like to work those short intermediate route trees. Ammar Walker could come in and at least compete and add another body to that wide receiver room where, let's be frank, Michigan needs bodies in that wide receiver room. he could come in and kind of provide that kind of wide receiver that we were all talking about. And I think my last take on Ammar Walker, and I would love to hear from you guys in the comments section on how you feel about this, because it is a little bit weird. I'm betting on this kid all day in terms of the athletic profile. And you guys hear me talk a lot about this in terms of recruiting. These kind of frames in athletes, I mean, you're talking 6'3", 180, guy that runs a shuttle, a 3-cone about as fast as anybody that will compete in the combine. You're just going to bet on these kind of guys. And hopefully they figure out whether it's on the offense or defensive side of football. And Ammar Walker, I mean, you kind of can explain why he hasn't been that productive during his first 2 years. He comes in as a wide receiver, redshirts his freshman year, completely changes positions. It doesn't necessarily click as fast as many Michigan fans wanted it to click, but make no mistake about it, and Ammar Walker's got a ton of talent, a guy that I personally would love to see back in Ann Arbor and kind of see if he can figure it out, because if he does figure it out, you're looking at a really talented player. The other name that appeared on a lot of our timelines over the last couple of days, I think within the last 24 hours, CJ Charleston from Youngstown State. I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say, not too familiar with CJ Charleston. I don't watch a ton of Youngstown State football. I did watch a little bit of that Ohio State game last year. That's the Michigan offer at the wide receiver position. And I think for a lot of Michigan fans, at least we are seeing Michigan make a move for a wide receiver in the transfer portal. Limited knowledge about CJ Charleston, 33 catches, 500 yards, 4 touchdowns during his 2023 year with Youngstown State. Not overly productive at the FCS level. That being said, this Michigan staff knows how to evaluate and kind of find those hidden gems, those diamonds in the rough, if you will. We've been doing it at the recruiting trail level for a long, long time. I'll just kind of sit back and see how it turns out with CJ Charleston. So I'm not ready to say that's a wild, wild offer for Michigan to make, because, I mean, you look, even going back to Jim Harbaugh days, Michigan has made a killing with the guys that were undervalued at the high school ranks. That scouting department, those player evaluations have been very good. So if Michigan does see something in CJ Charleston, I'm on board. And I was kind of doing some poking around. Apparently he's 40, is kind of in the 4.4, so he's got some really good long speed. We'll see how that one plays out. If he does end up coming to Michigan, we'll have to dive back into a little Youngstown State film and kind of dig in. Now I want to go to a couple of names that I think are really intriguing for Michigan. I want to stay at that wide receiver spot, and I want to talk about Joseph Griffin at Boston College. This is a guy that we've talked about a lot in terms of some of my favorite wide receivers available, some of my hidden gems in the transfer portal. Joseph Griffin, very similar body type to Ammar Walker, but he actually has proven production at the Power 5 level. Last 2 years at Boston College, he's only going into his third year of college football. I mean, 43 catches for over 570 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's got a really big frame with long arms, a basketball background. And you see that basketball background show up when Joseph Griffin's playing football, right? Going up, making plays, having that body control, being able to high point the football. At the wide receiver spot, this is the kind of frame that we've been talking about. We'd like to see Michigan go out and get. I mean, he's from the Northeast. Michigan historically has been really, really good at recruiting that Massachusetts, New England area. I would love to see Michigan make a run at this kid. I think he is a proven producer at the Power 5 level with the exact athletic profile that we're looking for in that wide receiver room. You go to another name, another familiar name that you digging into Andre Seldon. Played phenomenal football at New Mexico State the last 2 years. So he obviously, many of the Michigan fans remember Andre Seldon started his career at Michigan, didn't get on the field his first 2 years, transfers to New Mexico State, played phenomenal football over the last 2 years. Last year was extremely impressive. 71 targets, only 32 catches on him, a 45% completion percentage. He's put on that weight, which I think was a little bit of a problem for Andre Seldon when he came to Michigan. Again, he is not the tallest player, and he's up to 190 pounds. And you look at Andre Seldon, you believe that he's up to 190. He has put on a lot of weight to his frame. I got a chance to watch some New Mexico State over the fall. Andre Seldon can play. And I don't know if Michigan needs guys like Andre Seldon, but you're talking about replacing a guy like Mikey Sandstrill at that nickel role. if you want to add some depth at the very least, Andre Seldon would make a lot of sense. He committed to TCU in the winter, put himself into the portal, I believe, within the last 48 hours. I'd be interested to see if Michigan decides to make a run at Andre Seldon. Last guy I want to talk about, and this is really the definition of a diamond in the rough, a guy that I absolutely love, is DAngelo Pounds. And I have to give you guys a shout out because one of y'all dropped this one in the comment section, went back, looked at some numbers, turned on some film. This kid was a true freshman for James Madison in 2023. Incredible numbers. Played over 700 snaps as a true freshman, faced 66 targets, only gave up 30 catches, 12 forced incompletions, only a 7% missed tackle rate at playing the boundary quarterback spot. 5'9", 170 pounds, playing boundary quarterback at the FBS level as a true freshman. This kid's a box checker, and if he comes to Michigan, he's probably going to play that nickel role, but the confidence you have to play him at the boundary as well, this is, in my mind, one of the more impressive cornerbacks that you see in the transfer portal. He's only going to be a sophomore in college. He's got 2 more years at the very least of eligibility remaining. This is a really exciting guy that if Michigan has some questions they still want to evaluate, I know a lot of you guys say we don't need any more guys in the secondary. And I'm saying I probably agree with that. I thought the secondary looked really good in the spring game. More of a hypothetical. If Michigan did want to add one more guy in the secondary, DAngelo Pounds would probably be my choice. We'll cut it at that. Again, we'll continue to update you guys as Michigan rolls through the transfer portal. Appreciate y'all always rocking with the boys, and we'll talk to y'all later.